Hey guys, what is up? I hope everybody has been having a great day. Super excited to bring you guys a video. I think a lot of you are really gonna enjoy it, and I think a lot of you have really wanted. I am here at the Callaway Performance Center being fit for Callaway golf clubs. And so I'm extremely excited to take you guys through the fitting process. I'm sure a lot of you guys are interested to have a little tips and tricks and what to look out for in a fitting, what we're gonna be looking for, especially at my speeds, and what we're doing to get my bag ready for 2021 and more serious golf competition. So that being said, please smash the like button if you would like more videos like this, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that being said, we'll hop into it. I'm really excited to take you guys through this bag fitting. All right guys, this is a pretty cool look at the surroundings. This is Callaway Performance Center here. You can see my ball set up right there. These are all Callaway golf balls, and pretty cool looking building. And this is the setup here. And we're gonna start warming up. Fitting is probably gonna start in about 10-15 minutes, so I'm just gonna show you guys a few videos of me just getting loose, warming up, and then we'll hop right into the fitting.
I've seen that happen to a couple of bags. Oh, that's too bad. Okay.
So if you really, he doesn't want to people by saying,
Which obviously we don't make, but
Jason has him there, and wherever that goes, I don't know.
the first time I met Bryson, he exactly the same. But the first thing he said is, "What's the weight of this club?" I told him, and he goes, "Well, that's 3 grams heavier than mine, so it's going to go a few feet farther because of the added mass." So that was like, wow, that's.
And that, he's doing the taping. I don't think it's taking now.
Cut the engine up there and then restart it. At least.
Jeff took off his one of them yesterday, switched it to the new one. Okay. Which is on there.
Oh, really?
I think his absolute long range approach is still open.
So Bernie, let's roll through your bag and just hit a sample of shots with all the clubs,
Okay.
and kind of almost like a combine.
The white.
Okay. And that's your 56?
54.
54. Do you mind keeping the grooves fresh on that? Sure. It gets a little dirty. And I want you to hit, Kyle, some of the balls out of that bucket. That's the low spin ball.
Okay, would you want me to hit those?
Yeah. And what we're used to seeing with the tour players that we have test the 2 balls, the Chrome Soft X and the lower spin version of it, typically 400 to 600 RPMs of spin, depending on the player, which is pretty significant just from changing the golf ball. So at your speed, there's almost no such thing as a low spin ball. So the lowest spin ball is probably going to be what you're going to want to play.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The X and knock spin hop is good for me.
Yeah.
I can already tell it's spinning.
That carried 125.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. And I mean, I wouldn't mind having less spin with my wedges, honestly. I think my spin with my wedges is actually a little bit too high.
Yeah, the golf ball will help that for sure. I mean, just your swing speed right there, you're hardly swinging at it, yet you're swinging 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So at that speed, you're going to get more friction. More friction is going to create more spin.
Yeah.
So the lower spin ball's going to help. Learning how to change your speed That'll be kind of like the thing that you'd want to work on the most with your wedge game, is to try and slow your speed down, to slow your spin down, to increase your control.
Okay.
But that's harder to, it's a lot easier to say than it is to do. There's a lot of high-speed guys on the PGA Tour whose wedge games aren't, you know, as good as a lot of the players.
I mean, like I was playing tour yesterday and had like a 160-yard wedge shot left and threw like 30 feet past spin and still was like, just went back about 40 feet.
Yeah, and everything at tour, he's sloped super from back to the middle anyway. It's hard to keep it on the back ledges. All right, that's good with that one.
All right, guys, so we're going through our wedges right now, and the predominant part of the conversation at the moment has been spin management. And obviously at my speed, I'm going to impart a lot of spin, and that's one of the things that can be the biggest variable, and it can cause the ball to go unpredictable distances if your spin isn't dialed in, which is obviously something we don't want to do.
Yeah.
So we're working with a lower spin ball right now. We're trying to have a more predictable shot shape with less spin. And with my wedges, that'd be great, because it would get my wedges to have a little more consistency, and that way we can start to work through the gapping process and try to build a bag that fits my speed and my swing. One
of the variables you can't control is the golf course itself. So you're going to get lies where you're on a side hill lie. You're not going to set up the same on that as you are on a flat tee box here. So the shorter the club is, typically that makes it a little easier to hit those types of shots.
So you think all the wedges being a similar length would probably be good?
I like that idea. Yeah. I mean, you're going to set up to them exactly the same.
I think definitely wedges would probably be a good idea.
It's a good starting point. We could do that at least with what we have already.
I'm a good putter because I'm missing these by a foot and I still think I'm good.
So far, Kyle, your spin has been good with your wedges. So
you like to spin?
Yeah, I mean, you're spinning it where we're used to seeing most pros spin their wedges, which is in the 10,000 number.
Perfect.
10,600, 10,200, and that last shot, TrackMan missed the spin, but nothing is like off the charts so far.
Yeah, I like hearing that.
Yeah.
That makes me feel like there's hope. So.
Yeah, I've seen some guys where they'll comment on their wedges spinning too much, like their gap wedge. It's like, I can't control the ball. You know, it's always sucking back. They're spinning it like over 11,000 up to 12,000. Yeah. That's usually the number that's like, yeah, we got to try and change that somehow. So you're looking good with the way you're swinging and the ball you're hitting.
It's where it needs to be. So I know I spin way too much. If I keep my yardage gaps under 15 yards apiece, that'd be great, because at my distance, the gaps are going to have to be a little bit wider, to cover that spread.
That's not spinning too much. That was 7,000 right there.
I like to feel this ball.
Yeah, all of those were not overly high on spin.
Okay, that's perfect.
Which is awesome.
I can tell this ball's a little different. I like it.
Yeah, it's a firmer golf ball, lower spin. If there's anyone that it's designed for, like you're the prototype. I feel like a good swing, Kyle.
Yeah, that was a little better.
So one thing I would say, just as advice as you're testing clubs out, if you feel like you're making a swing that does not match up with what the ball's doing, that's when you start going to the clubs as a potential, what do I need to do to the club to get it to perform the way I'm expecting it to. Mm-hmm. So if that shot felt like it should have been, one that covered the flag and it's hanging out to the right, that's when maybe we start tweaking the lie angle, or at least see if it's more flat than it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Because that's that, as well as the 50 degree, all of them kind of started a little right, fell a little right, where the other 3 clubs didn't do that hardly at all. Yeah, you can do the whole thing.
This morning.
Yeah. So that's back to the 8-iron right over the flag again, which is what you did the first time with the 8-iron. So that's when we start looking at the specs and just making sure they are where they're supposed to be. Yeah, that's 6,500 RPMs a spin. It's not overly high,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Remember, I was 8,500 last year.
With the 7-iron?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too high. That'll look like you're hitting a pitching wedge. .52 and 162. Kyle, when you're hitting into par 5s with 4, 5, 6 iron, I'm sure a lot of times, do you feel like the ball shoots up on you at all?
It probably does, yeah. I think it kind of gets a little bit of coggling.
Yeah. The longer the clubs are getting, the closer you're getting to spinning it too much.
Are those like 5,000, 6,000?
That was 5,600.
Yeah.
Most of your, well, basically, if we look at your averages thus far, 8-iron in the 7,000s, which is fine. It's actually, a fraction on the low side. 7-iron around 7,000 as well. 6-iron, almost 7,000 as well. So spin is one of the things that, like we talked about, influences the distance a lot at higher speeds. So if the spin's virtually the same, we're going to creep into the territory where the only thing changing the distance is the ball speed. So your gaps may not be as big as you'd want them to. Which it's easy to fix. You just need to adjust the loft of your longer irons to where the spin starts to get into the window that we want it.
Okay.
For each number of club.
Do you see? Does everything seem about right now at the moment?
Well, right now the 6-iron needs to spin a little bit less. So we probably got to bump the loft of that a hair. The 5-iron spinning a little too much. Or no, the 5-iron was okay, and the 4-iron is spinning too much. The 4-iron, like those last shots, all kind of upshot. Same spin as your 5-iron. So they've got more ball speed, 166 versus 161, but because the spins are virtually the same, your carry distances with the 4-iron are only 6 yards longer than your carry distances with the 5-iron. Yeah. And essentially a good rule of thumb is you want the speed to go up maybe 5 to 7 miles an hour per club, and you want the spin to go down 7 to 900 RPMs, and that's going to give you a trajectory that you feel like is efficient, goes through the wind fairly good, and distance gaps are not too close or too far apart.
Okay.
So right now the spin on those 2 clubs, 5-iron, 4-iron, is too close together to make that happen.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. That one there, almost 5,000 again. So we've hit enough 4-irons, nice and square, and hit them straight to know that you get a little more spin with that club at that loft, that lie angle, than you want to have your 4-iron spin. So what a lot of players do if they start to notice this sort of thing, where some of the long irons are spinning a little too close to one another, spinning up into the air, distance gaps aren't far enough apart, we'll strengthen the 4-iron a degree or 2 degrees till we get the spin in a window that we want. And then it sort of starts to create a space where you can eliminate a club altogether.
Yeah.
So some players go straight from the stronger 4-iron to 18-degree utility because there's not room for a 3-iron in between them anymore. So that's something that may happen for you. So same thing there. You feel like you caught that one good?
Yeah.
So we got the increase in ball speed. That was 172, which is certainly impressive with an iron, which is about 5 miles an hour faster than all your 4-irons were coming off on average. Spin rate 4650, which is not too dissimilar than the spin rates of the 4-iron. So we need to spin to drop more so that you get the efficiency out of the ball speed that you're creating with that club, meaning more distance. Which we need to shave probably 300 to 500 RPMs of spin off of both of those clubs.
Okay.
Which is easy.
Yeah, I like
A little bit of that's probably coming from the golf ball.
Yeah.
You know, we're used to seeing this thing spin 500 RPMs less than the ball you've been playing. But every degree aloft we change the club, typically is worth about 250 to 300 RPMs.
Okay.
So we'll bump the loft on the 4-iron a degree strong. And then again, some players, if they get the 4-iron really good, they feel like now they get the efficiency out of the ball speed they create. What do you like using off the tee when you're not hitting driver?
Yeah, there's I have 2 hybrids here. I just got from you guys actually.
Yeah, I got
these are
one of them
2 that
here.
I've been working with the last couple of days. Yeah, that's the other one. I think this is this is like a little more loft. But
Did you have this one built at a certain loft?
yeah,
Standard?
they're both
Just hitting 3 bills with the driving iron. Uh, 8-degree launch, 3,700 RPMs of spin, which is what we're used to seeing out of a 2 or 3 wood for launch and spin. You just have more ball speed than we're used to seeing out of a 2 or 3. Yeah, your spin rate's 500 RPMs less with this one, and your ball speed, their ball speeds are about the same.
I haven't really had one flush yet.
Your dispersion's a little wider with this. Your distance is about 5 yards longer with it. Do you feel like the other one's easier to control? The higher lofted one?
I'd say it probably is, honestly.
Yeah.
Got a little more spin loft.
Yeah. So I guess another thing you kind of want to figure out is if you're going to hit less than driver, is there a distance that you think is like the right distance to hit? 'Cause if you're hitting it 300 in the air, it's not long enough to carry a lot of the bunkers, and 320 totals almost too long to like lay back into some of the dog legs or into some of the real long
I think
bunkers and
280
stuff.
would probably be the number.
Yeah, so that almost is like too good for distance, or you're almost too fast to use it, you know what I mean? So that would bring this one like a little bit more into play
Probably be a
because
better
it's
club.
like fills a gap
Yeah.
better. But having both would be nice. If you wanted both the same length, with the newer way we're building them, we could put I could shorten that one and then put a heavier screw here so that the swing weights are the same. Do you think you have the shot shape you're after with this driver?
Yeah, I'm trying to play pull cut.
Okay.
You know, I don't like, my big thing is I do not want the ball ever moving right to left.
Yeah.
Ever.
Probably
I'm kind
good.
of like Alex Noren, I guess you could say. I don't want to ever hit a draw.
That's how a lot of the hard hitters are now. They draw their driver or they fade their driver and draw their
Because
3-wood or
It's
draw
just
their
so
iron.
easy to get into huge trouble. You hit it 2 ways.
as far as spin rate goes, people kind of generalize what good spin is. And to some extent, that's true. Like people say 12 and 2300. That's kind of, you hear that a lot. 12 and 2200, 10 and 2400. And the ball speed is got to factor in on what optimal spin is. At your ball speed, which is over 200 miles an hour, which is like significantly faster than the average pro, even the longer pro, the spin that's optimal for you is less than it would be for someone at 170 ball speed. So that was 1800 with only a 9-degree launch, which at 170 ball speed, which is where a lot of the pros are, 9 and 1800, they go, that's too low. That doesn't stay in the air long enough. But at 200, it stays in the air like perfectly. You can kind of go to this measurement here, which is land angle, to kind of gauge if you're efficient on carry and likely to get roll. Anything I like to see 35 to 40 is pretty darn efficient for you're carrying it as far as you can, at the same time as really efficient to get roll if the fairway's going to give you roll. If a 170 ball speed player had the 9 and 1900, that 37-degree land angle that you just got might creep down into 27 or 29, where they're losing distance in the air in the hopes that you pick it up on the ground on roll.
2000 is, I think, the perfect number for me.
Yeah, anything around $2,000 is kind of the sweet spot for you, and that's right where those first two are. So what that tells me is the driver you've got the loft at, it's the right loft that you should have. Now it's just a matter of, is the face angle, the lie angle, the CG of the head set up to where you feel like you can hit your full cut with consistency. So maybe we leave that one alone. I mean, those are a little bit of a pull and the spin drops below, but you're still launching it up plenty high to where it's not so low that's an issue. If you want, we can set up one of the new ones with more fade bias.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to change that one because you're not hitting it the way you're accustomed to today. I don't want to like try and fix something that doesn't need to be fixed. But we can have another driver set up where there's more weight in the toe, which is how you can increase the fade bias to it.
I like that.
That'd be
So
a
have a
good
little bit
idea.
of weight at the bottom just to kind of keep spin down a little bit. But yeah, I'm open to really anything like that.
Yeah, I mean that spins down for sure.
Really done a good job.
Which the nice thing about that driver is it's probably got a super low loft.
Yeah, it's
which is good for you.
5 degrees.
Is it? Yeah, 360 in the air, 382 total. That'll get her done. Back to where we're at with your gapping. We start at the 1 iron and the 2 iron, or the 16 and the 18 degree. The 16. I wish they popped up in order. So 3,300 and 8-degree launch, 178 ball speed. That's going a little bit farther. It's going 306, a little wider dispersion than the 18 degree. The 18 degree 3,700 spin, only a mile an hour less ball speed, a little more control, it's closer to 300. That's probably a club that I'd put in the bag more than the 16 degree, even though it goes a little bit shorter. To me, that's almost a good thing. In fact, we're seeing a lot of guys on tour put the utilities in the bag instead of the 3-woods because the 3-woods are going too far for them. So in your case, you just happen to hit the longer utility too far, or maybe farther than you need to for a layup off the tee. So I'd use the higher lofted utility if I had to pick for you.
Okay.
If you like having a low lofted utility and you want to see if you can get it to feel like it's easier to control, I'd try and replicate the length of this and the swing weight of this. But you can keep that in your back pocket if that's something you want to try or not.
I like that.
Then we go to the longer irons, 3, 4, 5. The 3 iron, if we just look at spin, you're 4,200, 169 ball speed. 4 iron, your 5100, 167 ball speed, 5 iron, 162 and 5200. That's actually right where we want the 5 iron to be. You can see your carry was 240 with that. The 4 iron, because the spin was on the high side for what the 4 iron should be, it was at 5,000 as well, 249 carry. So the 5 iron to the 4 iron, not a significant enough distance. It's 9 yards. So by the time we get the 5 iron spinning, the 4 iron spinning the right number, meaning closer to 4,000, the distance is going to probably be 260 in the air instead of 250. And then that might mean you don't need the 3 iron, or it might mean the 3 iron needs to get bumped a little stronger as well, just so that all the gaps are maintained properly. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And then as far as shot shape goes, maybe we don't want to put too much weight in the clubs that were missing right today. But the ones that were missing right were the 50 degree.
I think the live on that seemed a little weird.
Yeah, you
it was a
mentioned that
little
one
too
looked
toe
weird.
down.
And a flatter lie angle would be the reason why you'd see it miss to the right.
Yeah.
The 9 iron, he hung a little bit. And I believe the 7 iron was the other one. But I like the spin through the bag with your shorter clubs.
Yeah, it looks solid. I like the feel of it.
Just by the time you get to the longer clubs, you get a little bit too much spin, and then what we refer to as gap compression, meaning the gaps get too close together.
Okay.
And the driver, you obviously bomb.
That's a good deal.
So I'm going to take your irons inside, measure everything, see if the lie angles are a little bit off on anything, particularly the 50 degree, and then get the loft spaced a little farther apart with like the 3-4-5 iron, and make sure the gaps kind of make better sense than they currently do.
Okay. Sounds good. And yeah, guys, these are the lies and loft, and so we've actually tweaked a couple of the numbers. You can see my 50 degree, my lie was really crazy. It was 59, so we got that back to 64. 60. Then a couple of the other irons were slightly off, so we changed and tweaked the lie angle there. And the loft, we strengthened my 4 iron a little bit, strengthened my 6 iron just a little bit, and my 8 iron just a little bit. And so now you can see 54 degrees, 50, 45, 40 degrees, 36 degrees, 32, 28, 24, 20, and then 20. So what we're trying to do is normalize and make consistent the lofts throughout the bag, and make sure the lie angles are matched the club that we're using. So these things are very important, and are some of the things that I think people don't think about too much. And I'm really excited because I can already see the lie angle difference in some of these clubs. I think they look a lot better. These lie a lot better on the ground. And this is just one of the things that goes into a professional level fitting that people don't really think about too much. And this is very critical to making sure you have a club that works best for you in the course.